Greetings and happy holidays, everybody. My name is Ben and welcome back to the channel for another episode of our 12 Sprues of Kit-mas. Today we are moving on to build day number 6, so let's go ahead and grab the box and see what kit we get. So far I've been having a lot of fun with this. The last build that I did was the Mark V Spitfire, and that was a little rough to be honest, but I got through it, made a really nice looking ornament for my tree. So let's see whatever we have in this box. I'm hoping it's as good if not better than our last build. So let's go ahead and fish around in here and grab the label. Oh, very cool. We have the 1/72nd scale LA7 by Edward. This is a weekend edition kit. So this would be my very first Edward 1/72nd scale build. So interesting. Let's go ahead and grab that box and we'll take a look at the inside. So far, everything I have built from this manufacturer usually tends to go together very well. Usually they have little extras, little added details here and there, like they have sometimes resin or photo etch parts, which is always nice. Now this is a weekend edition kit and it is 1/72nd scale, so I'm not really sure what we're going to get out of this box. Let's go ahead and just kind of dive in and see what we have. And it looks to be pretty standard Edward instruction manual. Got some color printout here for the color schemes, basic assembly drawings here and there. The plastic itself looks nice. It's very clean, very crisp. I don't see any flash issues. I also see finely recessed panel lines where they are needed and a little bit of raised detail here and there for different panels and whatnot. That's awesome. One sheet of decals, and as our extra here in this kit, we are given some seat belts. That's interesting. Now these aren't photo etch. I really don't know what these are made out of. Maybe they're cloth. I don't really know. But let me go ahead and zoom in here for you. You can see these are not photo etched. Look very nice, especially for 1/72nd scale. This is going to save me a whole lot of time for having to make my own. Also with our decals, everything is very crisp, very nicely printed. Got a couple of different markings here we can use, a couple of different versions, so I'm happy. Looks good. Like I said, the plastic itself looks very clean. I don't notice any flash or any issues. The last kit that we built, that Spitfire Mark V by Revell, had a ton of flash. This, I don't see any flash whatsoever. That again is going to save me a lot of time. We have everything built into the top of the wing there for the cockpit, like most of the Russian Edward kits. Let me go ahead and point out though that we are given a little bit of extra parts here for the 3-gun version of the LA7. Now the LA7 typically just had the 2 20mm cannons, but there was a version that had 3 cannons there on the top of the nose, and we do get the parts for that in here, so that's awesome. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into our very first time lapse. I want to add in some extra detail in the cockpit. I want to add in a couple of wires here and there and give it a little bit more detail, a little more interest. You're not really going to see much of it, I know, but still, I like practicing. Then we'll get some basic cockpit assembly done. We'll get the wings on. We'll get all the fuselage nicely buttoned up. Let's get this thing rolling. All right, everybody, we are back and I'm moving over to the canopy. We're going to go ahead and start masking off these different areas and see how they fit there on the model. I added in some detail behind the cockpit, behind the pilot seat. Now, I'm not sure if that's really that correct. I've seen a couple different references that show stuff back there, and then I see some that show nothing back there. So I really don't know, what's more accurate. But I went ahead and added in a little bit of a ledge there, and I threw a makeshift radio back there as well. I just wanted to add in some detail because I don't like how it was before, where you could look straight down through the canopy and you can see basically nothing on the inside. So I wanted to throw something back there. I don't know if it's 100% correct, but I like it. I'm happy with it. So let's go ahead and move on into our second time lapse. Go ahead and mask off the canopy, get everything pre-shaded, and then we're going to go ahead and try the camo, that very typical Russian gray and blue-gray camo with the blue undersurface. So let's go ahead and dive back into that time lapse, push forward. We're getting there, guys. So far, this is a great little kit. Let's move on. Now for the paint scheme, I've decided to go with the second version. So we just have the red cowling and the red propeller. We don't have the red triangles coming back around that cowling. I figured this was easier to do and easier to paint. I did go ahead and airbrush the silver bands around the cowling, and I added that little silver plate right after the exhaust. So far we're moving right along. Now we're going to go ahead and shift over and start assembling the landing gears and get those all nicely tucked in. And I think we should be in good position for gloss coats, decals, weathering, all that good stuff. I had a little bit of a fit issue between the wing and the fuselage joint that was kind of strange for some reason. I needed to actually splay out the rear part of that so it would fit where it's supposed to. Everything looks fine. Nothing really stands out as being glaringly wrong, at least not that I can tell. And so far, I'm happy with it. It looks like an LA7. It's going to be neat on my display case, and 1/72nd scale Edward, very nice kits. I'm having fun with this one. Now I will mention that the landing gears didn't really go on as easily as I was hoping. Plus we have these struts, these retraction struts that go onto the back of the landing gears, and there's really no firm locating pins for these to go in. There's a little bit of a larger area for that landing gear to kind of drop down into, and there's a lot of side to side movement. So that means you kind of have to line them up, make sure they tack up, and then you can add in the retraction struts and all that good stuff. Another thing I did notice too is that there aren't any actuators for the inner gear bay doors. Usually they would have some form of retraction mechanism. There's nothing here in the kit, and I don't really feel like scratch building one. If you really wanted to, you could probably jump in there and add some struts or whatnot to go ahead and give it a little bit of extra interest. So moving right along here, let's go ahead and do a little bit of touch-up painting, and then we're going to jump in to our last time lapse. And that's going to be gloss coat. We're going to put on the decals. We're going to go ahead and start weathering this thing up and see how we do on that. Now, weathering darker colors is not one of my fortes. In fact, weathering just really in general, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of working through it and I'm learning as I go, and that's half the fun, right? So we're going to go ahead and dive into our last time lapse. When we come back, hopefully we will have a finished LA7 in 1/72nd scale. Let's go ahead and finish up this kit and we'll see how we turn out. Let's do it, guys. All right, everybody, we are back, and I have finished our LA7 here for the 6th day of our 12 Sprues of Kit-mas. Let me go ahead and bring it out for you here. And honestly, this kit went together beautifully. I had a lot of fun with this particular version. I've never built an LA7 before, and this is nice to actually have one in my display case. Also, I've never actually built an Edward 1/72nd scale kit, and they go together very, very well. I've built a Yak 3, a 1/48 scale by Edward. The part breakdown and the assembly process was fairly similar. I did have a little bit of an issue though between the fuselage and the wing. There's a kind of a wonky step there, so that was a little troublesome to get together. And for some odd reason, the multi-part canopy did not fit in the open position. The Stuka did the same thing to me. I had really high hopes that I'd be able to open that canopy so you can see the detail on the inside. I also added in a couple of insulators, and we've got our easy line there strung up behind the canopy. I really don't have any major complaints though. Everything else went together well, and the weathering, I kept it a little bit on the cleaner side. Now for the underside of the aircraft, as you can see, I used some oil washes here for some streaking. I tried to dirty it down just a little bit, adding in some shading and surface detail here and there. As you can see, I've got some dust coming off that cowling, pulled back here along the middle section by the landing gears, and I've got some dirt and grime around the different openings. Now, the LA7s really didn't have a whole lot of surface detail to work with because the majority of them were made of wood and metal, kind of a composite construction. A little bit of shading here and there. I think it works all right. In terms of scratch building, I also went ahead and scratch built this pitot tube. The reason being is that the kit part, for some reason, when I clipped it off the sprue, it shattered into 2 parts and flew across the room, and I couldn't find it. So I actually made this one out of some sprue off of my P40 and a random length of plastic. So it's okay, it works. And then of course the rear decking I went ahead and worked on there with the radio and all that looks okay. Those seat belts were actually awesome. I don't know what they were. They were almost like a gel-like substance, kind of stretchy, not really cloth, definitely not metal. So they almost like static clung to the actual plastic. A little bit of white glue, we were good to go. That's going to go ahead and do it for us today, guys. Day 6 is in the bag. Next time we're going to move on to day number 7, draw the next kit and see what we can do. Until our next episode, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. Happy holidays to each and every one of you, and we'll see you back here on day number 7 for the 12 Sprues of Kit-mas. Take it easy. We'll see you soon.